everybody. So this is my review of The Empire Strikes Back, which many believe to be the best Star Wars movie. And I agree with them. Just like the first movie, this one is incredibly well paced. We start off right away on Hoth, which is an ice planet where the rebels have been hiding from the Empire. But the Empire soon finds them, and stuff goes down. Obviously, this is a great sequence. It has been probably one of the most hyped scenes in the entire original trilogy. A lot of people reference this scene when they talk about Empire Strikes Back, and you know, it's spawned very many popular video game levels. And this is just a great scene to watch as the HEHEs, AT-ATs, whatever you want to call them, are going across these snowy fields trying to destroy the shield generator of the Rebel Alliance. And you have these little flying ship things trying to take them down. It's huge, much larger scale than the previous movie. And the Empire takes out the rebels pretty easily in this scene. Basically, the rebels aren't really trying to win, they're just trying to buy time for the key leaders to get off the planet and meet at the rendezvous point. But Luke, when he gets off the planet, decides not to go to the rendezvous point, because Obi-Wan Kenobi, had told him to go to Dagobah for Yoda and get some more training. And this sets up the two storylines of this movie. Luke's training with Yoda and the Millennium Falcon and company trying to run from the Empire. Now here's a big difference between the prequels and this movie. In the prequels, the romance between Anakin and Padme was horrifically stiff and terribly written. Here, the romance between Han Solo and Leia has actual punch, has some energy to it. It's fun to watch. Unlike those god-awful prequels where the whole time I was cringing, this is actually funny and kind of cute. And this cute relationship contrasts well with the darker sides of this movie. And that's what this movie is basically most known for in the Star Wars trilogy, is going much darker than Episode 4. Not that there's anything wrong with Episode 4, but this episode just goes down a much darker path, which really is signified by the title. This is where the Empire strikes back. The Empire is not fooling around in this movie. Speaking of darker paths, you cannot talk about this movie without talking about Darth Vader. I mentioned in my last review, he was a great villain in Episode 4. He was very striking from a visual sense, and he was a great bad guy. But in this movie, you truly see the menacing side of Darth Vader. He is just choking people out for making one mistake. People are constantly getting promoted. You basically have no job security if you work for the Empire. That's the thing about The Empire Strikes Back. It takes all of the elements that made Episode 4 such a great movie and builds on them. It builds on all the things you love, like the mythology of the Force, and the Empire's way of running things, and Han Solo's banter with Leia. All of that here is just so crisp and well done. Let's talk a little bit about Yoda. In the prequels, he's very serious and fights a lot. Now here, he's more lighthearted and optimistic and has fun with life. And at first you really don't think this guy could be a Jedi Master. But you soon learn that there's more to Yoda than you think. He is immersed in the Force, and he is able to pull the X-Wing out of the Dagobah swamp with ease when Luke can barely even move it upward. And this really begins Luke's journey to become a Jedi. His patience with the Force, something that he's not really able to grapple with very well. There is an amazing scene that is now obviously very famous, where Luke fights Darth Vader in a kind of hallucinogen kind of state. It's not obviously actually happening, it's like a forced realm kind of thing, and he beats Vader by cutting off his head, and he sees a face, but doesn't really know what this signifies, which is a nice little foreshadowing to obviously the now famous twist at the end of this movie. The two storylines converge at the Cloud City, and this is where we meet Lando, who is a friend of Han Solo, another smuggler, and this guy, there's a little something off here. C-3PO goes mysteriously missing, and really, Leia's starting to get a bad feeling about this place. And as I mentioned, this movie is well paced, so very soon we learn that Darth Vader is here, and Lando was forced to betray his own friend. All of this is incredibly well done and effective, and Luke is able to sense his friend's pain and suffering, and he rushes toward the Cloud City, even though Yoda begs him to stay and complete his training, saying his friend's deaths will be worth it if he becomes a Jedi Master and is able to take down Vader, and that he's not ready to face him yet. As we established before in this movie, Luke is impatient. He's not willing to put in the work it takes to become a Jedi Master, so he rushes off to immaturely face Vader, and Han Solo, as we all know, gets frozen in carbonite and given over to Boba Fett to be taken to Jabba's palace. Really, this is just a trap for Luke, where Darth Vader will lure him in, and then, hopefully, turn him to the dark side. I have to talk about my favorite moment in the entire film, though. As Han Solo is being put into the carbonite chamber, Leia says, "I love you," and Han Solo originally was supposed to say, "I love you too," but Harrison Ford was like, that's not what Han Solo would say, and after many tries, he just goes, "I know." And this is just one of my all-time favorite moments in any film. It is so funny, so great, and I just love that Harrison has such a reign on this character to know he would never say that. And we soon get my favorite lightsaber fight of the original trilogy. Just classic, well-done shots of Luke and Darth's lightsabers coming through this fog. It's just beautifully shot and very iconic at this point. And as this fight proceeds, they leave the carbonite chamber and end up on this balcony-like thing where Luke, in his inexperience, gets his hand chopped off and loses his lightsaber. And that's when Vader drops the bombshell. He's Luke's father. Then Luke, after saying it's impossible, and Vader's like, "Search your feelings. You know it to be true." Luke just gives up and falls down, where he is eventually saved by his friends. And the movie just ends there. It just ends on a down note. And it really encapsulates the title. The Empire Struck Back. They gave the rebels a very tough blow that they will obviously overcome, because this is a trilogy and there is another movie on the way. But at the time, this was a big deal. Obviously, I was not alive for that, but I understand. Obviously, even watching movies today, where all Hollywood movies have some great, wonderful ending. Turns out the bad guy actually isn't dead, like an Edge of Tomorrow, which was completely stupid and didn't make any sense whatsoever, no matter how much I love that movie. But really, it's really just amazing that they actually had the balls to do this, because that's asking a lot of an audience to just be like, okay, yeah, we'll wait 3 years for the next one. So really, you have to give it up to Lucas and his writers for really having just the guts to keep their fans on the edge like that. Like I said at the beginning, I think this is the best Star Wars movie. I think that this brought together all of the elements you loved about it in the best, most focused Star Wars film, and I'm going to give it an A+. Like always, I want to know what you all think. Comment below. What do you think of The Empire Strikes Back? Is it your favorite Star Wars movie? And, of course, you can hit the subscribe button below and catch the final Star Wars review, Return of the Jedi, before The Force Awakens.